Let's talk about intuition. Do you trust yours? I'll tell you what is prompting today's video. Someone shared in my public group on Facebook, the Empowered Empaths, a meme that basically says that many of us rely on our intuition to help guide us on our journey through life. But what happens when our intuition leads us down the wrong path? Time and time again. Many of us rely on our intuition to help guide us on our journey through life. What happens when our intuition leads us down the wrong path? Time and time again. Intuition is a powerful tool if we learn how to use it in the light. Otherwise, it becomes a painful growth tool that we get trapped in its cycles. Well, this is what I want to talk about. Our intuition always leads us down the right path. I think so many people think that life is supposed to be like turning on a spigot. I do the inner work and I always get what I want. I follow my intuition, and if I don't get what I want, something is wrong. And so I can't trust my intuition. Your intuition is the voice of your higher mind, your soul, the real you. It never leads you astray. But we don't get what we want. We get or experience the materialization, the validation of who we are, how we see ourselves. It's our self-concept. So if someone's intuition keeps leading them astray, which there is no astray, but if the thought is something is wrong here, it keeps leading me into something I don't want, well, then it's exactly because there is a part of us that we need to face, some fear. When I was in my 40s, I heard literally a voice that said, go forward with this relationship. Yes, I'm an intuitive and I get lots of information, but I never hear voices. And I, to this day, don't hear voices like some people do. Some of you listening may actually hear voices. At the time, I was wondering whether or not to move forward with a relationship, and every bone, or most of them, in my body was saying, no, don't do it. And then my intuition came in and said, do it, go forward. So I trusted it. I did. And here's what happened. It was probably the worst thing that's ever happened to me. And it was the best thing that's ever happened to me. Had I not moved through a relationship with my now ex-husband, I would never have dealt with so many layers of beliefs about fear and powerlessness. So when the person who wrote, intuition is a powerful tool if we learn how to use it in the light. Well, it is light. Otherwise, it's not your intuition. It's the voice of fear. And then it says, otherwise, it becomes a painful growth tool that we get trapped in its cycles. What I want you to really understand is every time you're confronted with something that's painful or fearful, it's for a reason. Your intuition is saying, here, it's time to look at this, because we are each here for a reason. And it might not be the reason that you think. So many people think they're here for a purpose, but our purpose is to be who we are. And ultimately, we use that being who we are and doing what we love for the joy of it. For some of us, it's to work with others. It could be anything, or it could just be your little piece of you being you is exactly what the world needs to shift into higher levels of consciousness. I learned to trust my intuition in my work. I had 3-year sales cycles. When are they going to sell? What are they going to do? What do we need to do? And I learned in a very practical way that I could trust my intuition. I was always right. Not all of you have that in your lives. The real feet to the fire ways of needing to navigate by intuition. But I think that what this person shared in my group is actually a very common belief. We believe that we follow our intuition and we don't get the results that we think we should get, or it's uncomfortable. We think something is wrong, and it's not wrong at all. Not at all. You are here for a reason, and you might not be fully aware of what that is until you're a little bit older. I certainly didn't get it till I was in my 50s. Some of you are very clear at a much younger age. But the thing that we don't want to face, where we say that our intuition is leading us astray, is the very thing that we need to face in order to be free. These next 20 years are Pluto in Aquarius, and Aquarius rules the mind. It rules the patterns that we have. Fear is just a pattern. It's a story that we tell ourselves that masks excitement. Fear says either you're not safe or you might suffer, which is a variation of you're not safe, or you won't get what you want. And we have to look at all of the ways that fear keeps us living a life that we don't prefer. Where in your life is fear preventing you from maybe doing the very thing that you'd love to do? Starting your business, working with other people, writing that book, or leaving a marriage. I had to confront that when I divorced my ex-husband. I walked out with nothing. I literally said, I would rather live in a tree than endure one more day of this. And I walked out with debt. I walked out not knowing how I was going to support myself because we were partners in a business. That was not an easy thing for me, but it was the perfect thing for me because I can assure any of you that you can be, do, or have anything. This is the crux of my coaching, for you to follow your dreams and let yourself dream. Let yourself step away from fear. And I want you to know that your intuition is your soul saying, this way, do this, go here. Because again, you are here for a reason. And that reason may mean that you've got to stop paying attention to the voices that say, I'm not enough, or I'm afraid. This is what humanity is doing. We're stepping outside of the control of fear because they're just stories. It's not even real. You are an energetic being here for a reason. Those reasons are varied, but I can assure you that if your intuition keeps taking you to what feels like a dead end, then it's time to face the dead end. It's time to face your stories that you're telling yourself, because that's what reality is. Reality is just energy, but it's just particles of energy that you are directing with your focus, your awareness, and your emotions. So rather than saying that intuition is the bad guy, your intuition is here to set you free, because the very things that keep us stuck are fear, doubt, anxiety, the fear that we're not enough, the fear that we'll be judged. These are just old patterns that all of us have. It's part of the human condition. And your intuition, which is the voice of your soul, is saying, you've got to face this. You've got to take your power back, because we're here to do things. And this version of you who is afraid isn't the version of you that's going to create this thing that we're here to do or be. The next time your intuition comes knocking and you wonder whether to follow it or not, two things. Does it feel like fear or does it feel calm? Our intuition always feels like calm. Always. It never feels like fear. It sounds like, do this, go here, call him, and you can trust it. And if it's anything else, loaded with fear, loaded with anything other than calm, it's your mind. As a collective, right now, we are here to move from living from our heads and our past, which is all the fear and the programming of not enough, too much, all that stuff. Things we call our wounds, really. They're not wounds, it's just an experience. We're here to move beyond that. We're here to live from our heart. The heart says then, from this place of non-resistance, from this place of non-judgment, I have access to higher possibilities, to the higher realms. So when we live in our heart, we have access to inspiration. We have access to out of the blue events, synchronicities. Synchronicities become the norm. But first, we have to face whatever it is that we haven't been able to face because it just seemed too big and too overwhelming. So that when the voice of fear arises, we say, yes, that's fear, all right. And that's not my choice. I'm choosing this. Let me know if you follow your intuition. What does your voice of intuition sound like? And where are you right now in your life in terms of facing your fear, going into your heart and asking for guidance and then following it? If you'd like to join my public group on Facebook, I'll put a link below. If you would like to schedule a session to know why you're here, I'll put a link below. I use a combination of gene keys and human design, and it is always incredibly accurate. I wish I would have known 30 years ago. It would have just given me a framework and a structure for why my life rolled out the way it did, why I faced the challenges that I faced. I'll put the links below, and thanks for listening. Hit subscribe if you haven't, and share this video if you think it will help people.